Hello, YouTube. Um, this video, a friend of mine wanted me to talk about agnc, which I know nothing about. Reading the comments, 11 dividend cuts in a row and still working on it. And looking down here in 2012, $1.25, $1.05, 80, 65, then 22, 20, 18, 16, 12. It seems like we're going in the wrong direction, guys, don't it? Looks like we're going in the wrong direction. So 11 dividend cuts in a row and still working on it. That doesn't sound too good to me. I don't know exactly what they own. I don't know what investments they have. I don't know what they're invested in. So to me, whether this is a good deal or not depends on what assets they own. Now, this right here is enough for me to not get involved. If you look at this, 44, there's almost no insiders. There, 44% are held by institutions, and 44% are held by a float held by institutions, and Vanguard and BlackRock have the majority. State Street, Virginia Retirement System. Like, look at this thing. But not only that, let me see. Sell. All right, let's look at insider transactions. I mean, this was a big one. 500,000 shares, $4.6 million from this guy. Sold at 9:30. $4.6 million. But if they're buying, they would have purchased. Sell. Looks like they're all got free stock. Sell. Now here's another big one. 600,000 shares. February 11th, 2022, he sold $8.5 million worth at $14.10. Kane Gary Daniel. So this same exact guy, the year later, he had just sold 600,000 shares at, what was it, 14.10 a share. But yet he sold 500,000 for only $9.30 a share. So that was in May of this year. So, you know, if he thought that he could get $14 again, I think he would have held on and sold at $14 again. Instead, he sold at $9.30. And here he sold at $16.25. So I mean, just this alone, looking at what the insiders are doing, they're all selling. And there's basically no insiders because they're all the major holders are Vanguard and BlackRock. And most of the float is held by institutions. So if they really wanted to short this thing into the ground, they could. According to this, is trading below book value. It's at basically a 25% discount to book. If this is accurate, this is saying they got almost $9 billion in cash, and the market cap is $6 billion. No, the market cap is $4.5 billion. So according to this, the total cash per share is $14.75. And it's trading at 7 right now. But look at this, $42 billion in debt. The book value per share is $10.35 according to this, according to Yahoo Finance. Going to sec.gov. I want to see if I can magnify this thing. Because I can't really see it. So this says millions, so like this would be like 1.6 billion, I guess. I don't know if you guys know this, but real estate is in a bubble right now. So, guess what they've been investing in? They've been investing in mortgage-backed sausages. Mortgage-backed sausages. Mortgage-backed sausages. Mortgage-backed sausages. And they've been buying treasuries. Well, I don't know when they bought the treasuries, but if they bought them a long time ago, they probably took a loss. Yep, that looks like a loss to me. What is that, $18 million loss? No. Now, I don't know what this is. Are they repurchasing shares? I mean, if they're repurchasing their own shares and they think it's undervalued, that might be a good thing. I don't like them just giving away free shares, though, to their higher ups that are just selling them for millions of dollars of so if they own treasuries and mortgage-backed sausages, and if they're underwater in both, that is not a good thing. I mean, I know before the pandemic, to build a house, just the wood and stuff and the materials, was about $70 a square foot. And the house that I was looking at the time was selling for $30 a square foot. It was probably a dump inside, but it was a brick house, and it looked like it had good roots. Kitchen and stuff probably needed to be updated, but it had good bones, I guess you would say. It says we use U.S. Treasury securities, U.S. Treasury future contracts to mitigate the potential impact of changes in interest rates, blah, blah, blah. We enter into short sales of U.S. Treasury securities by borrowing the securities under reverse repurchase agreements and selling them into the market. We account for these as securities borrowing transactions and recognize an obligation to return the borrowed securities at fair value on a company consolidated balance sheet, blah blah blah. I don't like this. I don't like this paragraph right here. It's bad enough if they bought the bonds, the same time that all the banks did. Most of the banks almost went bankrupt because they were both underwater in real estate and they were underwater in the treasuries. And then you start trying to be fancy and like predict. Nobody can predict what interest rates is going to be. And they're like short selling the U.S. securities and borrowing and reverse purchase. I mean, this sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. And it sounds like they're using a lot of leverage, so. And if there's any derivatives involved, that these are weapons of mass destruction. I guess these are mortgage-backed sausages. But I mean, you can ride by a house and pretty much, I can tell you pretty much what it's worth just by riding by it. Now, I don't know what the inside looks like, but you could give a general idea. I mean, I used to be able to do that. Nowadays, I can't do it because whatever the old price used to be, you just multiply it times 3. And that's probably what the current price is. But that's not realistic. That's like a fantasy. I mean, some people got really rich off of it, and but if 5 years ago your house was 100,000 or 200,000, and now you think it's worth 500,000 because the market tells you it's so, you're living in a bubble. You're living in a fantasy world. Homes are only supposed to go up 2% with inflation, and we had the government increased the money supply 40%. So basically, they taxed the savers in this country. They gave them a 40% tax because, and punishing them for being a saver. But if they own financial assets instead of just having a lot of money in the bank, those assets went up with inflation as well. The only reason the housing prices have not collapsed yet is there's a supply and demand curve. So the supply is low, but the demand is high. And, if we keep having, 1 million people cross the border every day, those people have to have somewhere to stay. And, we probably have 10 million to 20 million illegal immigrants in this country today. So those are, 5 million apartments or houses or homes that would have been available but are now occupied. With COVID, we had a bunch of people die, a bunch of elderly people die, but probably a third of the home buyers, or maybe even more, were these institutions. Zillow, Redfin, all these things that you go to search for houses, they were buying up entire neighborhoods. And then they sell one house, and then when you look at the comps, let me look at the comps of the houses sold, then everyone else thinks their house is worth that much because one house sold for this elevated price. But then they got in trouble because they overpaid. They were overpaying for all the real estate, sight unseen, and now they're stuck with all this inventory because nobody can afford to buy these houses that are, $500,000 house that really should only be worth $150,000 at 8% interest. Unless you're a millionaire or you make a couple $100,000 a year, you can't afford it. So they're stuck with all this inventory. Now, I don't know if that's the case with this company, but that's the reason why Redfin and Zillow and all those other ones, I forgot the other major one, and this is the credit ratings. AAA is the best, AA, A, triple B, and I think everything under this is basically junk. And looks like most of theirs is in junk. I mean, junk's going to have a higher, higher dividend yield. And that's what a lot of people, like I said, I don't really know anything about bonds. I'm not a bond guy. But what they would do is they would usually maybe half of, I don't know, maybe not half, but they might have some local, state and municipal bonds. They might have some corporate bonds. Maybe they own some Apple debt or something. or Microsoft debt, or maybe they bought a bond in your local town that's building a bridge or something, or a railroad, and then you got like maybe some treasuries or whatever. But so typically they'll have a mixture of really good, solid investments, and then the other half is what they would call junk. And the junk ones yield a lot more. So it looks like they took a $8 million loss back here in 2022, and then here they took a $2 million loss. So their investments have not been doing too good. We pledge our securities as collateral. We pledge our securities as collateral under borrowing structured as repurchase agreement with financial institutions. Referred to as margin calls. All right, I think I've seen enough, guys. This is like at least like the third red flag I've seen so far. The first red flag is they have no insiders. That they're and all the insiders are selling or sold. There's no one buying. Everyone's selling, and they're not making any money. They're losing money. They've cut the dividend 11 straight times. So if you're buying it for the dividend, you're probably going to get the dividend cut. Every year they just create shares out of nowhere and pay their executives new shares, and all they do is just sell them. But there was something up there that I read earlier that was kind of shady, and then this is really shady. And then the things they're invested in. They're invested in real estate. They're invested in mortgage-backed sausages. And they're also invested in treasuries. And that's how most of the banks almost went bankrupt last year. Or this year, a couple of them did go bankrupt because they were underwater in treasuries and they were underwater in real estate. And if everyone came to get their money, I mean, the banks are only required to keep 10% of your money in the bank, and they can loan out the other, the other 90%. But all those loans, all those investments, they were underwater. I want to see where the Maybe I missed it. Must have been way up here somewhere. Now, I don't know what restricted cash is. Now this is saying cash and cash equivalent, so that includes treasuries. Now they got a different one for treasuries. So that's what, $1.5 billion in treasuries, 700 million in cash, 900 million in restricted cash, which I don't know what the hell that is. This goodwill thing, you can pretty much just say that's zero. I don't, we don't know what the hell this goodwill is. That's 500 and some million dollars in goodwill. But look at their assets. Their assets are 60 billion, but their liabilities are 52 billion. Which means the, at least on paper, at least on here, the total stockholders' equity is almost $8 billion, $7.8 billion. And you can buy the whole company today for $4.5 billion. Now, I didn't see anywhere near this $9 billion in cash anywhere in their last, if you add up 1.5 billion in treasuries, which is basically cash or can be turned into cash, 700 million plus 900 million, I mean, what's this, 3 billion maybe in cash? Look right here, derivative assets. What did Buffett say? Derivatives are weapons of mass destruction. They got $234 million in derivatives. But I mean, if you want to say, hey, this company's worth $8 billion and it's selling for 4.5, maybe you buy it, but they got a lot of debt. I mean, 42, 52, somewhere around there, $1 billion in debt, and they're doing a lot of shady things. I mean, they're using leverage. They're doing derivatives. They're buying assets that are not worth. They're buying treasuries. They're buying mortgage-backed sausages that are 3 or 4 times what their fair value is. What happens when Amazon lays off 800,000 people? um, people can't pay their rent. They can't pay their mortgages. The banks will take the house back, probably at a loss. Then they'll have to sell it to somebody, and they'll probably take a huge loss. And if enough companies go bankrupt, or there's only one main employer in your town, I grew up in a small town where there was one employer, and when that employer sold, it destroyed the town, and there were foreclosures on every street. And what happens to the home values then? When the closest store to you is 100 miles away, who in the hell is going to want to live there? And if you think you're going to get a free ride, a free meal in a town like that, someone's got to work. Everyone can't just live on the government for free. So, if you want a free handout, better go to a place where most of the people are working. But anyway, I would say that this is a no to me. Granted, the assets do look like they're worth more. According to what it looked like, that this should be worth more, but we don't know what they own, because if they own a bunch of office space in Manhattan, that office space is trading at 10 cents on the dollar. So they might have paid, $100 million for it, but it's only worth $10 million. So they've lost 90% of your investment. So I would have to know more about what they own and what they're invested in to really justify purchasing this. Because if it's just mortgage-backed sausages, you're lucky to get 10 cents on the dollar if it's office space. I don't know why when I click on these things I can never get them to pop up. Is agnc the best dividend stock for you? But yeah, I would pass right now. If you want to take a stab at it, I would say, maybe you buy 100 shares, maybe you buy 50 shares. My guess is this thing will continue to keep going down. It's gone from 18 down to 7. If you think it's going back to 21, you triple your money. But I would feel more comfortable buying it or doing nothing right now and just maybe buy at 4, maybe buy at 5. If you buy at 5 and somehow the miracle happens and this thing goes back to 20 one day, you quadruple your money, and maybe you get a little dividend in the meantime while you're waiting. If it goes to 4, you 5 times your money. If it goes to 20 sometime in the future, and you get whatever dividend they have. I don't think they're going to be paying a $1.44 this year. I think they're going to cut it, and maybe maybe they had some good investments. I don't know. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. But yeah, I think they're kind of doing some shady stuff, and it's risky. And anytime you mix derivatives and mortgage-backed sausages and treasuries and margin calls and all this stuff together, I mean, and interest rates. Hey, we're going to guess on what interest rates are going to be next week or next month. I mean, that's about as risky as you can get. So I think this thing has a real possibility of actually going to zero. But yeah, if you want to start a small position, and who knows, maybe they kill the earnings tomorrow and it goes to 7, goes from 7 to 10. I don't know. But my guess is it's going down to 5 and 4. And maybe it's either going to return maybe to $20 one day, or maybe it'll get a dead cat bounce, or maybe it'll go to zero. I don't know. But I would feel more comfortable buying this at 5 or 4. And then you have a chance to either 4x your money or 5x your money. Realistically, this thing probably instead of $20 or $35 being the peak, I think you might double your money. But to me, the risk is too high. So if you're right, you double your money. But if you're wrong, you lose everything. So I need more of an upside to invest in this. Even though it says they got $3 billion cash and it's 75% under book value, I don't know what they own. That's the problem. And Wells Fargo, for example, just sold some office real estate for 10 cents on the dollar. So if they own any office real estate, they're going to get killed. So to me, if I think the upside is maybe 15, you buy it at 5 or you buy it at 4, you might have, you might triple your money if you're right. So yeah, I still think 7 is too high. I would like, and if you look at its graph, I mean, it's just gone. It's just taking a straight doo-doo, and an object in motion stays in motion unless I forgot what Newton's law is, but an object in motion stays in motion. So I mean, if it's continued to going down, there's no Warren Buffett and this company to stop it. It could go all the way down to $1 or $2. I don't know what point you want to start buying at, but you could just keep dollar cost averaging. maybe throw $500 at it or $400, or maybe just put a buy order in at 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry, I'm nasally, guys. I just blew my nose, and I'm not sick at all. Sorry.